Nvidia right now, they're reporting Q3 earnings after the close. They're expecting $55 billion in sales for the quarter. Expected to raise guidance next quarter, $62 billion. That's called the whisper number, meaning that if they don't raise guidance to more than $62 billion and they raise guidance for next quarter Q4 and they say it's going to be at $60 billion, no matter what the numbers are, like it's $55 billion they're expecting for Q3. If they go $60 billion in Q3 and only raises 62, 63 maybe, you're probably going to see the stock get hit a little bit. I just want to put things in perspective for you. If they meet this number, it results in the company growing year over year 56% on the top line. I would say the average company's maybe growing 5-6% on the top line, the S&P 500. Okay, and they're trading at 22 times forward earnings. This is a company that's trading at 31 times forward earnings. If you're looking at the expectations here, looking at 13Fs, we're going to get to 13Fs tomorrow, but really quick, Daniel, you didn't see anyone establishing a new position in NVIDIA or really adding to their position. I don't think I saw any of those. Hedge funds either holding their current position or they lightened up their position in NVIDIA. Some sold their position in NVIDIA. So some think it's a top. That, I think, is a good sign in terms of if you think the stock's going to go higher. But expectations are just so high because every single time NVIDIA reports, they report blowout numbers now. You say, well, how high expectations? It's so high. It's so high that I saw this, a great article saying how NVIDIA has lagged other AI names like AMD and Broadcom, which AMD is up 90% year to date, Broadcom's up 50% year to date. NVIDIA's up 35% year to date, guys. I mean, Target's down 30% this year. You look at Chipotle down, there's a lot of stocks that are down 20, 30, 40%. They're up 35% year to date, and people are like, it's not good enough. And I wonder when that's going to change. Now that you see money coming out of the hedge funds in NVIDIA, you're seeing, a little bit of a pullback, not a big pullback, a little bit of a pullback. For me, I think those expectations, as they get a little bit lower, you're going to see the chance for the stock to go a lot higher. I don't know, Daniel. What do you think they could report today that would actually move the needle where the stocks would go considerably higher, like say, more than 5% higher after the bell? Because everyone's expecting these strong numbers because you're seeing all these deals being announced, and every single deal within the AI space, every single one flows through NVIDIA just about. Right? So anyone announcing data center deals and we're partnering with cloud and this and that, and all this, everything filters into more chips for NVIDIA. Maybe AMD's getting into that space, Broadcom as well, but they're late to the party. And you're looking at all these deals, it all has to filter back to NVIDIA. So it's interesting. Could they report anything that's going to be a blowout number where people like that I guess the public or the consensus are not expecting it? Is that possible?
No, I don't think it's possible to kind of blow out the number. I think you hit it on the head with it all depends on the guidance and such. And Daniel Creech, don't have a crystal ball. I don't see how they don't give market-beating guidance, but to your point, just about how much above that bar. And the pace of investments is not slowing down. Today, I don't know if you saw, but just before we started this, Elon Musk and Jensen were on the stage with the Saudi U.S. Investment Forum, and I apologize if I got that name wrong, but they announced more deals in new data centers and 500 gigawatts and all kinds of, or megawatts, being built out. Did you see the news yesterday with Brookfield Asset Management, $10 billion in more AI stuff, NVIDIA, $5 billion of that. NVIDIA might do up to $10 billion in Anthropic, which is an AI service that Like I said, I don't think it's about the numbers. I think it's about the guidance, and really, more important than the guidance, Jensen, who is a fantastic salesman, like Elon Musk and all the best, he has to have his sales cap on, because what's that silly song, The Whole World in His Hands? That's Jensen right now at the market. For me, if they come out and lay an egg, they being NVIDIA, markets are going to tank. But I just don't, if you're betting on them to report bad numbers, I think that's a real stretch. I don't see that. It's just, can he sell the idea that, hey, we're still doing this? What's the flywheel? And you've commented on it getting so much attention lately about how vendor funding and everybody's just kind of passing around the same dollar. Yeah. I'm not that worried about it because, again, you don't have weak balance sheet companies doing this. There's a total difference in, being leveraged to the hilt and not having earnings and cash and all that kind of stuff and making investments versus having all that. So I think it's really a sales job right here, and I think he knows that. We'll see. But honestly, I hate to say this, I don't think the numbers matter as much as the dream, in my opinion. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it's good because you can say the same thing about Tesla, right? I mean, numbers are actually, you're looking at those sales numbers are actually, coming down, right, for sales for EVs, but it's the future. And that's what he's talking about. He has like this $1 trillion number, right? This $1 trillion in spending and how it's going to benefit them. I'm not worried about him not being optimistic or a salesman because he's the best in the world at it, and he backs it up. When I'm looking at NVIDIA in the future of this company, you're going to see more and more growth. But when you look at that circle, and people have been posting how OpenAI is doing deals with Google would in turn do deals with, you have the biggest hyperscalers almost partnering up with each other. And I think NVIDIA changed the landscape when they did that, Daniel, because you're used to technology companies holding their IP. We don't want to partner. And Nvidia changed the landscape, and that's why they're so big. That's why you can't even put them in a semiconductor, right? Index. It's not even, there's no one even close to them, right? And why is that? Because 10 years ago, they said, look, instead of just providing hardware and selling to everyone, let's partner and build these systems for them. And then also work on the software side where we capture all of their growth as they're building the foundation, and they can't change the foundation anymore, right? It's like you're building a whole entire house and you want to use a new builder. It's not as easy, right? So for people to start now, they could use competitors, but the biggest guys in the world, you see the partnerships where he's on stage with, whether it's ServiceNow, whether it's Salesforce.com, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's, this Adela from the CEO from Microsoft, right? He's just also, the CEO from Amazon, where now you're seeing these companies that are putting out this circle. Well, why is OpenAI spending? And then they're going, they're partnering with Google now instead of Microsoft. And then it's like this whole circle that comes around. Everyone's worried about that same dollar. The thing is, these companies are realizing that, hey, yes, we have competitors, or yes, we're going to buy the cloud services, but we want to be part of the AI. We want to be part of the building process. It's amazing to see how they're partnering while they're maintaining, and that's tricky. We have to have, our personality, our personal, right, part of the company. This is what we do, but also partnering with other companies to offer the services. This way you don't lose your customers. And everything's like integrating right now. So who's going to be the winner? Who's going to be nobody knows. Anthropic is raising money like crazy right now. Then you have ChatGPT, and you're looking at, okay, Microsoft used to be ChatGPT basically, and now they're pulling away, signing other deals as well. But with all these services and who's going to be good, I'm looking at, ChatGPT, Anthropic as being the big winners here, but Gemini, unbelievable, right, with Google. We'll get to that in a second, but Google's been on fire. We've been all over this trend. It's nice to see Buffett get in well after us, which is awesome. That's what we want to do here, is try to get you in these stocks before the big names get in. But what I'm seeing with Nvidia, the biggest takeaway for me right now is this is a stock, if they meet those earnings, which they usually meet and beat expectations, and the stock usually falls. If that stock falls, I'm going to just tell you one thing. Nvidia's trading at 31 times forward earnings. You'd say that's very expensive. It's not expensive, right? You have to look at how fast the company is growing. If you look at 31 times forward earnings, I would say the earnings should be at least growing by 12 to 15% to support that value, right? So right now you have earnings growing maybe 8, 9% on the S&P 500, and the S&P 500 is trading at 22 times forward earnings. Okay, fine. So if you're trading at a premium, you should make sure your company's growing. It's why I say you got to worry about Disney, you got to worry about Chipotle, you got to worry about Nike, these companies that are trading at exceptional premiums, and they're not growing anymore. Nvidia's trading at 31 times forward earnings. They projected to grow sales by 55% and earnings by over 60% annually over the next 2 years. This is a super dirt cheap stock for the growth. Incredibly cheap when you factor in growth. So if this company actually reports numbers and they get to the $62 billion they raise, and maybe they go $63 billion, if you see this stock fall off its highs, this is a name that you have to buy. It's not like you're buying something where it's Oklo, it doesn't have revenue yet, and it's coming down. They don't have the base. This is a company that's seeing massive earnings, massive sales, that's partnering with everyone. For Nvidia, I just think, I'm hoping that stock comes down. If it doesn't, I'm probably going to buy it personally, unless the quarter was bad, or he's implying more charges, which he said those were one time last quarter. As long as there's no, we call it hair in the quarter, as long as there's no one time or what's going on, because all the companies are increasing their CapEx. That means more Nvidia chips, more Nvidia's going to go higher, and you should see that in these numbers. But if the stock does come down at this valuation, it's a stronger buy than almost any hyperscaler I could think of, even Microsoft right now, that has pulled back considerably as well.
You always joke, not jokingly, but I remember you saying, hey, CEOs don't schedule to go on CNBC right after their earnings call when they're going to lay an egg. And just to kind of extend that, like I just mentioned, Jensen was on stage with Musk at this Saudi investment forum. They were even joking about, oh, hey, you got earnings later on and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying anything there, but it would be very much of an outlier if you come out and lay an egg. So that's why we're in agreement. It's all about, hey, what can you sell and all that kind of stuff. So
if you're a CEO, you're very careful that you know what your numbers are. You know what they're going to come out with. So you don't know what the stock's going to do, but he knows that, you wouldn't be laying an egg like traveling with the president and going to, so I'm not worried about that. It's how we're going to interpret this, where people are expecting the best, right? It has such high expectations on the stock. If they do beat and the stock comes down and you're trading at below 30 times forward earnings, when you're seeing the growth actually there, it's 60% annual growth in earnings over the next 2 years, annual growth. That's an exceptional rate. That's insane. And that's why this company has the largest market cap in the world right now. So let's see what they report. It will be interesting. We'll talk about it on Thursday's podcast tomorrow on Wall Street Unplugged Freemium.